Hey there! It's so good to be finally back and out and about in our beautiful countryside. This is the second weekend we've actually been allowed out of lockdown and into our regional areas, and this is the first chance we've actually had an opportunity to come away again with our van. This has been marks about 4 months since we were actually able to last go out anywhere, which is just excruciating for people like us that love to get out and about at every opportunity. So we've just taken the chance and we're having a just a quiet little weekend away with ourselves and getting back to nature and trying to remember how to camp again. You won't believe how much you actually forget when you haven't done it on a regular basis for a while. So we have come into a favourite little spot of ours in Wanyara. It's about 10 minutes out of a little country town in Victoria called Denali, and Wonyara is extra special to my family in particular. I have a lot of history in these particular parts, and I'll take you through the video as we go, and we'll talk a little bit about what it means to me in Wonyara and the history that is involved with my family side of things in this area. But apart from that, we have camped. There's a gorgeous little free camp area in Wanyara, and it's got a beautiful it's a really lovely little area. It's got lovely toilets. It's got a nice sheltered area. It's totally surrounded by bush. We've already had some kangaroos come up and around, and if it follows suit, there'll be a mob of kangaroos that come through the campground as it starts to get dark. As you can hear, the birds are starting to roost for the night, so it's a bit noisy. The frogs are bopping away in the little creek bed that we've pulled up against, and it's just absolutely magical. There was quite a bit of rain in these parts a few days ago, and they're expecting a bit of rain tomorrow, but who cares? We're away, and that's all we care about at the moment. So I'll flip you around and I'll let you have a bit of a look at where we have positioned ourselves. So this is the official campground, if you like. You'll see there's lots of dotted spaces along the side of this dirt track that you could pull up and camp if you wanted to. This is the official area. There's the day use picnic area over in the centre section there with the rotunda, or sort of covered area, nice tables, nice clean toilets over yonder up there. And the other thing that we love about it is that, considering this is the second weekend that we Melburnians are out of lockdown, it's not a camp area that gets bombarded with people, which is really nice. It's only just over 2 hours from our home as well, which makes it for a really easy, nice weekender for us. But you can see there's like loads and loads of space, and I'll take you for a walk further down there tomorrow, and just have a bit of a walk, and you'll see there's heaps and heaps of space. I think there's a couple of vans over there that have sort of camping here on a more sort of permanent basis for a while, but yeah, plenty of spots to be able to pull into. And there was lots of little pool areas just down the road a little bit, as I said, that no one was there, but we knew this spot was here. So after the last time we came here, it's a good area, and we thought we'd give it a go. If it wasn't free, we would have gone back to one of the more quieter spots, but I mean, seriously, it's pretty quiet anyway. The noisiest thing about this place is the birds, the frogs, and us. So can't complain about that. Well, hopefully no one does. I'm sure they won't. So this is our setup here, and you can see we're getting the pig just finished sort of putting everything up, getting the van ready for the expected rain over the weekend. So at least if it does rain, we'll have a nice clean area that we can, and dry area we can sit under. We've got the pig starting to warm up to cook our dinner. And this is exactly why we love the pig. As you'll see, because we are expecting rain, the way that the chimney extends out, we can actually bring it right underneath in the dry area, underneath the awning section, and we'll be able to keep nice and toasty and dry. Our food and everything we can still cook without an issue, and the chimney will take the all the smoke and everything up and out and away from underneath the awning. So it's just the most perfect setup for wet weather because of the fact that you can still bring it in underneath the awning. So there's Charles, happy to be out. It's been a long time, hasn't it, honey? Yeah. So yeah, it's really nice just to finally be back out in nature. And yeah, you'll see there's a little bit of water down here. This is usually quite dry. It's a very dry area generally in these parts, but as I said, they did have a lot of rain in a lot of the surrounding areas, and as a result, this has a bit of water, and that's even after a lot of rain. So it would take a pretty torrential amount of rain to fill this to a raging creek bed, but that's all right. Just be quiet so we can listen. It's just stunning. Beautiful. Love it here. So as I go through the video as well, I will explain the road that we're on that you can come into, so you'll know exactly where we are if you are interested in ever coming past these parts to pull in and stay for a night or two in this beautiful area. But it's definitely one that we love, and I look forward to showing you a little bit more about it over the weekend, and explain to you, as I said, as to why it is so extra special to my family in particular. So I will come back to you later. So we've had a day to refresh and rejuvenate and sit by our beautiful campsite and listen to the gorgeous birds and kangaroos coming in later in the evening, and the frogs all day yesterday by the fire. It was absolutely magical just to recharge after the months of lockdown and endless working during it and since it. So I said that I was going to show you around a little bit around this area and why it is especially significant to my family in Wanyara. So this little town, what used to be a settlement town of Wanyara, was originally really famous for gold, and it was known for having the purest gold found in the world here when they started to come here, the early settlers. And my great-great-grandfather, Michael Morton, was one of those settlers that came here. He was a pardoned convict when he came here, and he built the Welcome Inn at the old Morton pub, which I'm going to take you down there a little bit after and show you the ruins of what remains of the pub. But he was quite a marvel in that he raised a family of 8 in that pub, and one of those people was my great-grandfather, John Morton. And I will also take you to show you down the road a little bit further the other way is the cemetery where they all reside now. So it's pretty special for us to come back here and just have those memories of what would have been in the old days, and just get a little bit of back to family roots. And yeah, it's really nice to be able to see that a lot of the old pub is still standing. It has taken a bit of a beating over the years, so it's a little bit dangerous to walk into now, but you'll get a good look at what it looked like, and it's quite incredible as well. He built the old pub as a replica of his house that he came from Ireland with his family, it served not only as a pub, but it was let me see, just get it right, it was a public bar, a provisioning store, and their home as well. So you'll see inside there, it's not a lot of space, but they managed to do all of that at the one time. And in later years, when all the miners were gone, it served on as a shearing shed, and it's publicly owned, privately owned now, I believe. I do believe they were looking at trying to get it put under trust, but I'm not sure if that has actually happened. But the road that we came in on this campground is called the Wanyarra Cemetery Road. And so you'll go past the cemetery, you'll have this day area that I'm just going to show you around in, where we've actually been camping, and then further down at the end of the road is the old Morton pub. And there's this great, as part of this, I'm just going to swing you around, there's this fantastic board here, and it tells you a little bit about all the history of the area, and what you can do today, and what the area was used for as well. And it's got a really good map here, and you'll see as you driving through, there's just dotted little four-wheel drive tracks. We haven't done them all, but they look like pretty easy dirt roads, really. If you are coming in the wet, though, I'd be warned that it's probably not a great idea in just standard vehicles, just in case. But certainly it's a great time if you've got a few days to spend here, and just follow the map. Like, it actually takes you, it's a very popular area for bike riders as well, cyclists, bushwalkers too. And yeah, it's great to be able to follow the map. And you can actually see remnants scattered all through these parts of when it was a bustling mining town, as well as timber. They used to source around here too. So yeah, fantastic to be able to stop and have a bit of a read of that and do the trails. So yeah, really, really great area to look at and spend some time in. So there's your cover under there, and I'll walk you through some nice picnic tables. Here's a pretty significant tree as well, if anyone recognises what this tree is. It is actually a mulberry tree, and it was planted in 1908 on this site in memory of Sam Ampfer. That's gorgeous. Makes me want to start singing the song, doesn't it? And I'm not going to, so don't fear. So yeah, as you can see, it's this beautiful area. There is tap water here. I don't know if it's potable. Oh, there we go. No, so there you are. Not potable. Yeah. Beautiful little hut. It did rain a bit yesterday, as I expected, but it wasn't a lot, and for a long time either, so it was really good. It does look a little bit like there's probably some more rain coming through. We're in the middle of packing up at the moment, and then as we pack up, we'll take you down and have a look at my great-great-grandfather's pub. And then we'll go back the other way on the way out and show you where they lay to rest, which is really special. I would say that bus over there looks like it's fairly set to stay for a while. It wasn't here, we were here about probably 5 to 6 months ago, before lockdowns happened, and it wasn't here. The one further yonder is there. I think he lives there, but they mind their business. They're not harming anybody. Let's take you up and show you the facilities for those that are interested in using them. Luckily no one's not in here, so that's good. That's nice and clean. Beautiful. Huge bullets around here too. Oh, by the way, a really hot tip. Make sure you bring your mosquito repellent, and make sure it's one with DEET in it, because they are relentless here, the mosquitoes, and they come out pretty early in the day as well. If it doesn't have DEET in it, we've learnt the hard way, just throw it away. It's totally useless, doesn't work. But the ones with DEET in it, magnificent. They do the trick and they stay away. But yeah, don't come here without it, because you'll regret it. Even just, I'm sporting quite a few nasty bites, and that was just from a really short time in getting out of the car and setting up when we arrived. So yeah, they'll get to you. So yeah, really beautiful spot, really pleasant, very quiet, loads of birds and wildlife. Always sad to pack up, but it is what it is. We work another week to keep funding this awesome lifestyle. So I will catch you back shortly when we are at the pub. See ya. So we've arrived at the family pub, but I dare say they have not been serving drinks here for quite some time. So I'm going to flip you around, and I'm proud to show you my great-great-grandfather's pub. Morton's old hotel. Isn't she a beauty? Pretty well preserved, given it was such a long time ago. Don't go in, Chelsea. Just look from the outside. I'll take you in. So you can see the remnants on the outside of when it was actually a shearing shed. And then over the years, this farmer's fence, it was on privately owned land. I still believe it is. The farmer's fence was on the outside of this structure, but at some stage over the last few years, they have moved their farmer's fence inside, further away, so you can actually access the structure. Perhaps they were tired of people going through their fencing, or as I said earlier, I'm not sure if they're actually going to be listing it as a heritage listing or not. I hope so. So we'll just take you around and have a look and see the work that he had done. Obviously some repairs over the years to hold it together, but considering all things considered, it's held together extremely well. Now obviously it is an unstable structure, so I'm not going to enter inside but should be able to get a really good view regardless of how it looked. Obviously it wouldn't have had the shearing pins in there, but given all of that, it's hard to believe that 8 people lived here, as well as being the local pub, as well as being the local general store, all at once. It's incredible. I'm going to take you around the outside. You can have a look from the other end. Hopefully I don't end up seeing any snakes, because yeah, bit of snake territory around here. But I'm happy to leave them alone. They do the same for me. Now actually, I'm just going to come back here. I do believe they've been taken, which is really unfortunate. Yeah, they had a whole heap of relics. Oh, there is some still over here. Over the years, detectives and so on have come to try their luck to see if anything was left behind. And it has been taken. What a shame. They had bits and pieces of old shearing paraphernalia and things that were found, probably old bottles and so forth, and they were laid out and left on the fence lines here, so people could actually appreciate and see some of the things that were found. And it's only recently that somebody has stolen them off the fence line, which my cousin comes down here regularly as well. She's got a little property nearby, and she alerted us to the fact that someone's stolen them, which is a real shame. It's no significance to anybody else really, but it was really significant to this particular area, so that's a shame. Why people feel the need to take things like that is just beyond me, but anyway, it is what it is. There's not much you can do about it really, is there? Unless they decide to do the right thing and bring it back. So, we'll come around the outside of the structure. It's quite incredible, all these years, just to see the ingenuity that he did. And it's really special just to be standing here and thinking that my great-great-grandfather and my grandfather lived here. Like, just make a lot of noise. If there are snakes, they'll hear me coming. So I'm not sure if some of this was added on. I think this part was added on as the shearing quarters. So I think the original structure perhaps, oh maybe not. It does look like the original brickwork does come out to this section, so they've probably built this. Perhaps it fell down or something, or maybe it was open originally, I don't know, it's hard to tell. But yeah, it's quite remarkable to think that all that was going on in this really small space, relatively. But pretty well preserved, which is fantastic to see. So, that's the pub, the family pub. And I'll take you back the other way and show you a couple more historic goodies on the way out. We've just turned around from Morton's pub on Morton's Lane, and we're heading back towards the cemetery, but there's a little historic marker just on the side of the road here where you can see it was the early settlement of Wanyara. So I thought we'd just pull over and have a little quick look at, there's not much to look at now, it's just cleared land, but again, it's a point of significance, and it's really cool just to imagine what it would have been like back in the bustling era of gold rush. So I'm just going to flip you around. And we'll just have a look at the surrounding scenery. big, what looks like might have been a dam. Hard to tell whether that's been put in since the settlement, there's a lot of private landowners around these areas here in farmland, so it may have just been dug in after settlement times, but yeah, really cool to see just the surrounding areas that they would have been in. One really good telltale way to see where you would have had little townships forming in all the bush areas is if you have a look around and you get a bit of an idea of what the Australian native trees are like that are planted around. Lots of gums and other types of trees, pretty obvious, natural. But then you'll see a tree, it may be a peppercorn tree, it may be a mulberry bush, something like we saw before. You can see that tree there is not native to the area. Well, I don't think it is. No, I think that maybe a mulberry bush. I'm not sure what sort of tree that is. It looks like it's got berries or something. I'll go and have a close look. But that is an obvious way to tell where you had settlers forming, because they would usually put certain trees in for spicing for their food, meals and things like that. This grass is quite long. I don't really like the thought of stepping through to what might be, so I'm just going to stand back. I think it's a mulberry bush, because I think those are mulberry berries I can see on them. But yeah, I'm just going to err to the side of caution and not walk through there. I don't fancy being bitten by a snake. Again, pretty cool. And there you have the site of early settlement of Wanyarra township. And finally we've arrived at the cemetery where a good portion of our family are residing, in the way of Michael Morton and John Morton, my great-grandfather. So I'm going to spin you around and we can come through and have a bit of a look with us. You'll see that you've got a registry on this stone work of a lot of the people that are residing in here. There's a Hilda Morton, there's John Morton. And there are also a lot of unmarked graves here. Unfortunately, they're not certain as to who they actually were, or the various societies have done a great job in preserving these. We have Michael Jr. Morton. It's a little bit harder to read. But it does talk about in April 1871 a public meeting was held at Morton's Welcome Inn where the first trustees for the various sections of this cemetery were elected. They were Thomas Leach, Anglican, Thomas Boone, Hebrew, James Gawley, Presbyterian, Michael Morton, Roman Catholic, William Holt, Wesleyans. These people organised the burials and kept the cemetery in good condition for many years. It was totally funded by public subscription, but as time passed and the population of the area declined, money dried up and public interest in maintaining the cemetery waned. This made the task of the trustees very difficult and they resigned their positions. A new team of trustees unsuccessfully attempted to rekindle community support and the cemetery closed officially in 1891. Despite its official closure, local families continued to use the cemetery for many years without permission, preferring to be buried in family graves in the district in which they have lived for most of their lives. Okay, and it goes on.
Giant lizard.
Oh, yeah! Wow. You see up in the tree? Is that a gecko, Jay? Not a gecko, sorry. Goanna? It's not nowhere near as big as a goanna, but that's pretty huge for a standard lizard. Definitely not a gecko. Whoop. Wow, how cool is that? I'm glad he's up there. I might have mistaken him for a snake. Which, by the way, keep your eyes out around here because there are lots of snakes and you're not wearing great shoes, Chelsea. So we'll come around and...
I heard something moving in a tree and I thought it was a snake.
Mmm.
Then I saw it had legs.
So you can see they've done fantastic work with a lot of the unmarked graves in recognition of them at least. Doing little markers everywhere. Really sad to read a lot of the headstones, especially so many young children died. It was a really harsh time out here for a lot of them, of course, for a varied amount of reasons. And here we have great granddad, and is John in here too? No, he's not. Oh yes, it was memory of John, so great grandfather. Lots of relatives in here. Great grandmother. It's very special. So see, in loving memory of John, that was Nana's real dad.
This is Nana's dad.
This is John is Nana's real dad. Michael is Nana's real dad's dad.
Oh.
Oh, sorry about that. Inappropriate. Pretty spot out here, isn't it? Nice little place to lay to rest. Whoa, that is quite an unusual. I don't
It's
think
a red spider. Like a really
I don't think I've
bright
seen
red.
one of those before.
You nearly stood on it.
No, look at the size of the legs on that. It's like it's on stilts.
I've never seen that before.
Good spotting.
It's a really bright red thing. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh, mosquitoes out today. Told you they're really bad around here, and I haven't got spray on, so that's going to be another one to the countless bites this weekend.
Animal spotting.
Bit of rain in there. That's the thing, I guess, unless you have volunteers coming in and keeping it under control, it's going to get a bit overgrown. Probably been exceptionally hard too with COVID, and people from all parts have probably come up and haven't been able to. But it's very well preserved. You've done a great job.
It's a big area.
It is.
Some
You'll also find dotted along the sides of this road in particular, and probably just off into the bush a little bit. I don't know, I haven't really wandered that far. There are quite a few graves as well. Some are from settlers that were buried in just the area. Some are from more modern times, like perhaps pets or small family members as well. But yeah, there's quite a few various graves along the way in these parts that you can stop and have a look at. There's a lot of history and things that you can see throughout this area. And we haven't touched on, like I said, according to the map, there are some other areas of interest from the old settlement times that if you take a couple of days and just have a wander, it's fantastic to see. A really great place to come to. Beautiful, quiet, as you've seen loads of wildlife. So definitely a great one to put on your map, and thanks for watching.